Smoke, heat, tropical humidity, and the scream of 23 MotoGP machines lighting up the Sepang tarmac for the first time in 2026. And here's the kicker. This is it. / the final dance. The last hurrah for these current spec machines before the rulebook gets torn up and rewritten. Ducati's dropped a double-decker front wing that looks like it could generate downforce for a Formula One car. Yamaha's finally brought their V4 engine to the party with Aero that mimics the Italian rivals. And KTM? They've gone conservative? What timeline are we living in? Stick with me, because what we're seeing in Malaysia right now is shaping the entire 2026 championship before a single race light goes out. Let me break down what's really happening here at Sepang, because this isn't just another preseason test. This is the final development war before the regulations slam shut. Look at that front fairing. Look at it. Ducati's taken their already aggressive Aero philosophy and cranked it to 11 with a double-plane lower winglet element that's absolutely monstrous. This isn't innovation. This is refinement at its most brutal. They've spent 4 years perfecting this Aero concept, and now they're squeezing every last tenth out of it before the rules change. Those small holes at the bottom of the fairing? Nicola Bulega proved their worth at Valencia, improving front-end feel on corner entry. And Marc Marquez? Yeah, that Marc Marquez will be running the swing arm damper setup he favored through most of 2025. That tells you everything about where Ducati's confidence level sits right now. They're not rebuilding, they're polishing perfection. But here's where it gets fascinating. Yamaha is the only factory stuck in the lowest concession tier, which means they get to test with their full rider lineup. That's Fabio Quartararo, Alex Rins, and rookie TopRak Razgatlioglu, all throwing data at this new V4 engine. Massimo Maregali, Yamaha's team boss, came out swinging with confidence. TopRak is the first rider to try everything. That's not just PR speak, that's a declaration that they've built something special. The exhaust system's been completely reshaped, both long and short pipes redesigned, with the shorter pipe more vertical and shortened compared to Valencia. That's chasing power delivery and throttle response in acceleration zones. The front wing? They've ditched their trademark three-sided design for a biplane concept that directly mimics Ducati's philosophy. Marigali admitted it. The old Aero didn't work on the inline 4 because of width limitations, but on this narrower V4 package, the wind tunnel data says it's a game changer. Now let's talk about KTM, because this is willed. KTM, the factory that's historically thrown spaghetti at the wall just to see what sticks, has gone /boring/. Paul Espargar's running Ducati-style side fairings they first tested at Valencia. Brad Binder's Stegosaurus rear wing config is now the standard, and they've ditched Pedro Acosta's rear Aero entirely on Espargaro and Danny Pedrosa's bikes. Why? Because in 2025, they found progress through stability. That's a seismic shift in philosophy. They're done experimenting. They're executing now. And then there's Mika Kallio testing with black fairings featuring horizontal wings connecting the outer side fairing edges to the main section. That's flow management to reduce turbulence for the rider behind. His 203. 203 putting him P16 out of 23? Don't read into that. Test riders aren't chasing lap times, they're validating data. Aprilia kept their radical Valencia Aero, Lorenzo Salvadori, switching between standard 2025 and new fairings, running only the circular rear Aero without the square tail wing. The seat wing tip's been reshaped, which suggests they're fine-tuning airflow over the rider's back to reduce drag on the straights. Honda, minimal changes. Same exhaust, same fairing, same chassis from Valencia. That's either supreme confidence or, well, let's not speculate. All right, let's walk through what actually went down over these 3 days of shakedown madness in Malaysia. Wednesday morning, Sepang circuit, air temperature already pushing 32 degrees Celsius, track temp probably kissing 50. The shakedown test kicks off, and immediately we're seeing manufacturers roll out their 2026 challengers. This is critical. 3 days of testing with the SIG and IFICA WFICA impact on early season development, according to the paddock insiders. Ducati rolls out first and the gasps are audible. That double-plane front winglet is aggressive. It's not a radical departure from their philosophy. No one's reinventing the wheel in the final year of a regulation cycle, but it's an evolution that screams intent. Marc Marquez bike sports the swingarm damper, and the Pramac Now Pertamina squad has matching specs. They're unified. They're ready. Yamaha's garage is buzzing. TopRak Razgatlioglu, the world SBK legend making his MotoGP transition, is first out on the new V4. The exhaust note is different, sharper, angrier, more Italian in character than the old screaming inline 4. He's running without rear aero on day one while Augusto Fernandez sticks with last year's rear wing config on the satellite bike. That's textbook test protocol. Isolate variables, compare data. But here's the thing. Fabio Quartararo and Alex Rins, upset from the timesheets. Jack Miller on the satellite Yamaha, also missing. That's not concerning. Teams often rotate riders during shakedowns to maximize track time without burning through tire allocation. KTM emerges with Pol Espargaro looking comfortable on that Ducati-style fairing. New swing arm at the rear, Stegosaurus wings locked in. Danny Pedrosa, the eternal test maestro, is running identical specs. No rear aero for either of them, departing from what Pedro Acosta used through 22.5. That's a statement. They've found their direction. Then Mika Kallio rolls out. Black fairings, those unique horizontal connecting wings, different swing arm from Espargaro's. There are even images of him doing practice starts without the bike in its fully lowered position. That's testing whole shot device timing and rider techniques separately. His 203. 203 for P16? Irrelevant. He's ticking boxes on an engineering checklist, not chasing podiums. Lorenzo Salvadori, Aprilia's test rider, is doing the hard yards. He's switching between the standard 2025 fairing and the radical Valencia spec Aero multiple times throughout day one. With the new fairing, he's only running circular rear aero, not the square tail wing that turned heads in November. That suggests maybe the square design didn't deliver in CFD analysis or track testing. The reshaped seat wingtip? That's all about refining the aerodynamic shadow the rider creates at 350 kilometers per h. No changes to the chassis. Aprilia's RSGP has found a strong foundation, and they're not messing with what works. Front wheel aero? Unchanged. They're in refinement mode, not revolution mode. Honda. The exhaust is identical to Valencia. The fairing? Same. Chassis? Same. Swing arm AP appears similar, though with the aero covering it, it's impossible to be completely certain without teardown photos. This is either the confidence of a factory that's nailed their package, or the stagnation of a brand struggling to find direction after years of Ducati dominance. The paddock whispers suggest Honda's banking on rider talent and setup work rather than revolutionary hardware changes. That worked in the 800cc era, but in 2026? With Ducati's aero advantage and Yamaha's V4 aggression? We'll see. Massimo Meregali dropped the biggest soundbite of the test to Crash.net after Yamaha's Jakarta launch. After the Valencia test, we can prepare a lot of new material that we will test in Sepang. We've already reviewed the test program, and the list is quite long. Hopefully we'll have 5 or 6 dry days to gather information. 5 or 6 dry days. He's talking across the 3-day shakedown and the subsequent official test. Yamaha's brought an armory of components. New aero systems, multiple exhaust configurations, chassis updates, electronics mapping variations. Meregali confirmed the aero on display at the Jakarta launch, ISN even the latest spec. The latest version will be finalized in the next few days and tested in Sepang. But the biplane front wing configuration is locked in. That wind tunnel revelation is huge. We tried a similar concept on the previous bike, but due to the dimensions and width of that bike, it was less effective than the triplane design. With the new V4, we found in the wind tunnel that this aerodynamic package works much better. Translation? The inline 4 was too wide to make Ducati-style aero work efficiently. The V4's narrower profile unlocks that aerodynamic philosophy. That's engineering validation for the entire engine architecture change. Here's the strategic gold for Yamaha. They're the only manufacturer in the lowest concession tier now. That means test rider privileges plus full factory riders. Ducati, KTM, Aprilia, restricted to test riders only as shakedowns. Honda gets some concessions due to performance struggles, but not to Yamaha's level. So while Ducati's relying on Michele Pirro to validate updates, Yamaha has 4 riders generating data. TopRak, Fabio when he rides, Rins when he rides, and test riders. That's a data tsunami. More feedback loops, more correlation opportunities, more setup windows explored. TopRak being the first rider to try everything isn't just favoritism, it's tactical. He's coming from World SBK with fresh eyes, no MotoGP preconceptions. If he says the V4's front end is communicative, that's unbiased feedback. If he struggles with something, that's a red flag the others might have normalized over years of inline-4 compromises. Let's talk swing arms, because there's sneaky development happening here. Yamaha appeared to have two swing arm specs at Sepang. One with holes on either side like Valencia, another covered. Closer inspection revealed it's actually a cover attached over the holes, apparently for branding purposes. That's not engineering. That's marketing trying to hide sponsor-conflicting openings. But it confirms Yamaha is still experimenting with swing arm flex characteristics and weight distribution. KTM's new swing arm on Espargaro? Different from what we saw at season's end. Kallio's swing arm? Also different from Espargaro's. That's 3 swing arm variants in active testing. Swing arm flex affects traction, stability under braking, and power delivery feel. KTM's methodically A/B testing to find the Goldilocks solution. Malaysia in late January is a gamble. Tropical thunderstorms can roll in with 15 minutes warning, turning a productive test into a 4-hour rain delay. Marigali hoping for 5 or 6 dry days across the tests is wishful thinking, but if they get that weather window, Yamaha's aggressive component testing program could leapfrog them up the order. Ducati doesn't need dry days as desperately. Their package is proven. They're refining tenths, not chasing seconds. But for Yamaha, every dry session is gold. Every lap TopRak puts in with new Aero or exhaust configs is data they desperately need before Qatar. The absent riders Quartero, Rins, and Miller missing day 1 isn't dramatic. It's logistics. Teams stagger riders to maximize bike time without tire waste. With TopRak and Fernandez generating data, Yamaha can analyze overnight and adjust day 2's program. Expect Fabio and Rins to hit the track with refined specs based on TopRak's Wednesday feedback. Salvadori switching fairings multiple times through day 1 is the definition of a test rider's job. He's isolating aerodynamic variables. Standard fairing with circular rear arrow, Valencia fairing with circular rear arrow, Valencia fairing with circular rear arrow, standard fairing with no rear arrow. That's 4 combinations minimum, probably more with seat wing variations. Each configuration gets 8.10 flying laps for data consistency, then back to the garage for sensor download and CFD correlation. Rinse repeat, it's unglamorous work, but it's how championships are built in the engineering office long before the first race. So here's where we stand after day 1 of the Sepang shakedown. Ducati's polishing an already dominant formula with more aggressive aero. Yamaha's swinging for the fences with their V4 revolution, backed by concession advantages and a test program longer than my grocery list. KTM's found religion in stability after years of wild experimentation. Aprilia is refining their radical Valencia concept. And Honda? Honda's being Honda. But here's the real question as we head into the 2026 season, the final season under these regulations. Ducati absolutely dominated 2025 with Marquez and Bagnaia trading wins. Yamaha's got a new engine architecture, fresh talent in TopRak, and concession advantages. KTM's got rising star Pedro Acosta hitting his stride. Can anyone break Ducati's stranglehold in this final year of the current formula, or are we watching the Italian factory write the final chapter of their Aero era dynasty with a pen made of carbon fiber and glory? With Yamaha's V4 showing serious promise in the wind tunnel and TopRak bringing World SBK aggression to the premier class, could this be the year the blue corner finally returns to championship contention? Or is Ducati's double-decker wing the final nail in everyone else's coffin? Drop your boldest predictions below. Who's your championship dark horse? Will TopRak podium in his rookie season? Can Marquez make it back-to-back titles now that he's got the Ducati underneath him? I read every comment, and some of your takes have been absolutely genius this offseason. Hit that subscribe button, smash the notification bell, and I'll see you for day 2 analysis when we break down the lap times, sector speeds, and which factories are really ready for Qatar's season opener. Until then, keep the shiny side up.